I'm VIN.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VIN and SORI. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
And a child
Here we
shall
go.
lead them to buy our merch.
Yes. New song release here.
Yep.
Very, very new. So we're about to jump into this and see
Extremely new.
if we like it.
This is Jinjer. The name of the song is Vortex. And it's time. The time has arrived.
The time is now.
The time is now. Ow.
Sorry, babe.
No, you're not. Okay, so...
I guess the time wasn't then. It is now,
Somebody screwed up my thingamajiggy. I don't know where any of this stuff is now. Holy moly.
I didn't...
What didn't you do? Tell me.
It's right there. I put it in order by when it's added.
And here we are. Vortex, ladies and gents.
Like a lunatic, frantic. The man in the room looks so dramatic with a latitude on his right foot. The spiral traffic feels too dramatic. Too dramatic. The man is walking around. Where's the way out he never found? And inside there's a ball little land. It's rolling and robbing a parquet. Oh, how heavy is the ball? It bent his spine to the very ground. Neither his nor another, enormous ludicrous. Oh, how heavy is his thumb? In half an hour or so, it crushed the floor and smashed the man's toes. Oh, how heavy is his thought? In half an hour or so, it crushed the floor and smashed the man's I'm a deep in the
right, Power Ranger.
Okay.
That video was badass. Inshallah doesn't get blocked. The thing turned into a giant like Megazord. Were you allowed to watch Power Rangers as a kid?
Of course
I doubt
not.
Oh my god. Why?
There was violence, I'm sure. Was there magic at all? Because if there was anything magic, it was out.
I mean,
did they have powers?
It's like science magic. Like
Science magic
fiction.
would have been fine, but there was fighting, so we couldn't watch stuff with fighting. We couldn't watch anything.
Oh
You have no
God.
idea. You have no idea. Fox and the Hound, that we were allowed to watch that.
Yeah, so first of all, I generally don't pay attention to the video because I'm more about the lyrics. But like toward the bottom third of the song, like when it was doing that expansive thing, the universe kept expanding. My bad.
I think I missed the expansion of the universe.
Then it turned into like a Megazord or something. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That video was on point, bro.
I saw like what looked like a tornado throwing everything around, and then everything like kind of came together. And then I saw the creature thing.
Yeah, that was she. First of all, I forgot how good of a lyricist she is. Like when Jinjer came out.
I'm excited for you to get into the lyrics.
It's like almost 2 years ago when they came out. Like the big thing was this shocking because they started out with this like jazz. You were like jazz club type vocals, and then she just went completely dark, and there was no transition, and there was no warning. So I remember when they came, everybody was doing that. People were like, you gotta do Jinjer, you gotta do Jinjer. Yeah. But at the time, we were doing like 5 Avenged Sevenfold songs a day in Tool and all that. We didn't have we didn't get to it, so we finally got to it, and of course, you know, there's that twist. But it kind of became too successful too quickly, so like that's what they became known for. And I almost never hear people talk about her lyricism, but lyrically I think what her lyrics are like her vocals, like they're somewhat traditional, and then it goes off the range and it's something that you've like never heard before. She's an extremely abstract thinker, like
Well, I remember.
I Speak Astronomy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that one. Yep. So I'm excited to get into the lyrics. But I thought when it was all going on, at first, I wasn't like not really a fan of it. I was like, I didn't really like the sound of it at first.
Yeah.
So, but it's another one of those where the score kept increasing as it progressed. And then it got so heavy at the end when Transformer came up. It did look like a Transformer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When that came on the screen, it was so friggin' heavy at that point. And it had like such a like a very like lungy, I don't know, lungy is not a word, but
I like it when the breakdown takes you by surprise, like when you're not, you know, ready for it, because it was kind of chug-a-lug. Ben Webb hates the chug-a-lug stuff, but it was kind of chunky, and then it kind of, the song's gonna end, and then they added this bass slide, and then boom, they hit you with it. Sonically, it was great.
So let's go to the lyrics. I'm actually, well, I mean, at first it sounded like a man that was kind of losing his mind. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland, because there was like the stuff that was kind of floating up into the sky, well, in the room, and then it was talking about something being like a lead ball inside of him, but then it seemed like it was his thoughts that were so heavy. So that was basically all I got from it. So let's
Yeah, and did you take it literally, or did you take the male pronoun as a sort of like pseudonym for herself, like an alter ego maybe?
Oh, I didn't. I took it as like literally. I took it as like literally a man at first, and then it became all of us that can feel this way. So
I see.
What you got it? You took it as a pseudonym?
Well, Yubo Golfer says, for me it sounds like Pit of Consciousness and Homeback had a musical baby. Well, I don't know who either one of those people are, brother, but I'm sure it's a good reference. Like a lunatic frantic, the man in the room looks so dramatic. The other thing, too, there's a little bit of, like, hip-hop cadence happening, too, which I really appreciated. Shout out to the homie.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like it was on.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, the lyrics here are very much like her vocal style, where she goes orthodox and unorthodox.
Yeah.
And this one I actually liked because there wasn't, like, as dramatic of a break when she did the death vocals. It kind of was like flowing into each other, which is really, really cool. Okay,
So, like a lunatic frantic, the man in the room looks so dramatic with a left shoe on his right foot. This spiral traffic feels too traumatic, quiet. The man is wandering around. Where's the way out he never found? And inside, there's a ball made of lead. It's rolling and rumbling on parquet. Yeah. Oh, how heavy is the ball. It bends his spine to the very ground. Neither his nor another, nor enormous, ludicrous. So, it looks like she's describing a dude. If you take it literally, she's describing somebody. Maybe somebody in the band. Maybe somebody she grew up with. Maybe an abusive dad. Not necessarily abusive dad, maybe just a dad who had a hard time. And this guy cannot deal with just, it looks like he just has a hard time existing, period. Because it says...
Or...
Go ahead.
Maybe something bad just happened in his life. Like something really, really traumatic. Like his wife just died or something. Like a lunatic, because it's not, he is a lunatic. Like a lunatic, frantic. The man in the room looks so dramatic with a left shoe on his right foot. This spiral traffic feels too traumatic, quiet. The man is wandering around. Where's the way he never found?
Where's the way out?
Oh, yeah. Okay, never mind. Okay.
So it just looks
Scratch
like
that because he's been looking for the way out.
It looks for the way out, and then internally he's got this giant ball of lead in it. So he's in a pretty miserable condition. And then we find out what the ball is. The ball is how heavy is his thought. In a half an hour or so, it crushed the floor and smashed the man's toes. Oh, how heavy is his thought? In an hour or so, it crushed the floor and smashed the man's soul.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about thoughts and how they can inspire or control or ruin your day or brighten your day. And it is very interesting how... You can't control some of the things that happen in your day. Some things just happen to you. But you can control what you allow for your thoughts. Like, I think that you have to... If something bad happens to you in your day, you have to think about what happened. But at the same time, then you have to move past it.
Right.
You can't just keep going over it and going over that conversation.
Yeah.
And thinking about how it made you feel so deeply and sorrowfully and and like what it says right here, in a half an hour or so, it crushed the floor and smashed the man's toes. Like, if you allow a thought to just take over you like that, especially an extremely heavy thought, and you don't give yourself a break, it will crush you to the floor. Like, you have to... Some topics are just too heavy, and you do have to process through them, but you have to process through them in chunks. You sit and you think about it, you work through a little bit, and then you put it to the side, and then move on to something else, and then go back to it when you can.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the course gets repeated twice. The first time the ball crushes his toes. The second time it crushes his soul.
Yeah.
Which, we talk about psychosoma a lot. Like your mental state can have a physical effect on your body. It can manifest in your body. And so there are visible and invisible consequences to, anxiety disorders or whatever. And you see it. First, it affects the man's toes, which represents, his physical body. And, your toes are kind of... your toes kind of function like your thumbs. Like, it's one of those things where, like, seriously, like, when you break your toes and you lose the functionality of your toes, you start to realize, holy shit, I don't have a leg to stand on unless I have toes.
You don't have your big toe that you can't stand upright.
Yeah. So if all of his toes are smashed, I mean, there's a sense in which he's totally debilitated. Like, you don't have a leg to stand on, literally. Yeah. And so and if you dwell on that negativity to that degree, it can really be that debilitating. So I think this is about a person who's in an anxiety state, having an anxiety attack. And a lot of times with anxiety attacks, like, there doesn't necessarily have to be a direct, external rhyme or reason to it. Right. And I think that's one of the things that's really hard for people that have those conditions, because then it kind of really makes you look like the crazy person. It's one thing, like, if something really bad does happen and you overreact, like there's like a fire and it gets put out and it takes you a while to calm down, that's one thing. But when it looks so random, and that's one of the reasons, like, I try to not use the term triggered a lot. because triggered wasn't actually a term. It was very big in Vietnam after PTSD. You know, the things that trigger, you know, 4th of July fireworks trigger people. Of course, in our current culture now, it's a thing that we use to mock people. Oh, you're triggered. It's like, well, you've obviously never had a panic attack because, or had PTSD, because if you've seen somebody when they're triggered, it's a very disconcerting feeling because you're just sitting there chilling and normal, you know, everybody's normal. And then the person just starts freaking out and all the rest. They can't breathe. They're clutching their chest. It looks like they are having a heart attack. I mean, it's a scary thing to behold. And the fact that it looks like it came from out of nowhere is what's even more terrifying. So that's one of the reasons I try to stay away from, you know, using that type of terminology, because it's not a joke. It's a real thing. And you're not a weak person if you're triggered, by the way. That's the other thing. Like, the implication is, oh, like, you're weak, like, for being triggered. And most of the time, it's the strongest people on the planet who get triggered because they've been exposed to, you know, all kinds of horrors that, you know, normal people wouldn't be able to survive for a moment.
I think what happened was there was a lot of weak people that started using that term for anything and everything that they disagreed with. Triggering is not like, I disagree with it and your topic of conversation makes me uncomfortable. It's that you literally are having a reaction to what they're talking about because something has been so traumatic to you. Yeah. And so I think because people just overused it, then it lost its meaning. And then people are like, oh, triggered. But I think that sometimes you don't even have a reason that you can, we kind of just touched on this, but even going a little bit more, sometimes there are certain things that have happened to you in your life that have been extremely traumatic in the moment, and your mind has kind of pushed it to the back and allowed you to forget it, so that way you can carry on and survive, and then you can have a random reaction to something and not even really be able to understand because your mind had hidden that situation so well. Yeah. So, you know, just because something looks crazy to you or feels like this is coming out of nowhere and it literally has no roots, don't discredit your mind so quickly. There might be something really there that needs healing.
Yeah, that's a really good word. Yeah. So verse 2, like a feather, I traveled down a spiral staircase. So like she keeps using the term spiral. Yeah. Because it has this
spiraling out, this like losing control.
Tornado kind of, and it was cool the way they did the camera too. Yeah. Because there were a couple times when the camera was you know, and like trying to communicate that feeling of like, yeah, like being in a situation and not being in control. You know, and then just kind of like being, you know, the Bible talks about not being tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, but that is a maritime metaphor. And it must be really I mean, it sucks to be in a plane when you're on a plane, and that crazy feeling when you hit a bunch of turbulence. Right. But like, that was a big thing, like in their culture, was being caught out at sea and you're completely at the mercy of the wind, like another force controlling you. It must be a very terrifying experience. So she's talking about spin, whirl, spin, and she's light as a feather. Think about a feather in a tornado.
It's just going everywhere.
Like you have no ability to resist it, I think, is the idea.
Yeah. Well, there's two kinds of spiral out, right? There's one that's really good. That's like the Tool version. You're just spiraling out to the music, or you're you're having a really, really good time on something, and it's just like, it's like ecstasy in your mind. It just feels so amazing. But then there are other times where you're spiraling out and it's in a negative sense, and you are going down faster than you can even grab onto anything. And it feels like there's literally, like you said, a feather, it's not going to control. The only thing that a feather is going to do because of gravity is it's just going to keep going down. And so it's just going, and there's no stopping it. Through rapids and stones.
Well, it says, water. Like a feather, I travel down a spiral staircase. Falling deeper than it is, all stairs are erased. Yeah. So, like, it sucks going down a spiral staircase in this context, but at least it's something you can put your put your feet on and say, okay, that's like a big thing for me with planes. Like, that's the way I deal with it, is like, I just imagine my feet hitting the tarmac for the first time, and then then I'm good as long as my feet. So like, imagine the ground going out, and it just really, really good, strong imagery. And I think because of the aesthetics of the band and the way that first song blew out, like I said it earlier, like she doesn't get the credit she deserves as a lyricist.
Yeah.
But lyrically, she's just as strong, if not stronger, than what she does vocally, in my opinion.
I think the other thing too, just going back to that staircase thing, is that we understand what stairs are and that stairs have a landing. Mm-hmm. And when it switches from like falling down the stairs, I'm sure is not right, to travel down. But when the stairs erase, or like in a movie when you see somebody falling in a hole and you're like, well, where's the end of this hole? Like, when they hit the end of the hole, they're going to die. But just watching them fall and fall and fall and not knowing when the end is coming is like really, really stressful.
Yeah.
So I think that she's explaining this falling out that you don't even know when it's going to stop or where it's going or where are you. That Alice in Wonderland thing, and then she lands and the room flips the other way, and
just not a fun situation for her.
And she's alone too.
For her to be, and again, we're saying her, but like the
we don't know who she's talking about. It's actually the man.
It says a man,
right?
Like the man, the dude's in trouble in this situation. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who the subject is, but if it's her, it's brilliant writing. But if it's not her, then she did a very good job incarnating somebody else's. I'll be even more impressed if it's not her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, babe, I already put this on there.
That'd be crazy. Okay, what did you rate the song?
I actually gave this one. Literally, it started out as a 6, and then it bumped to a 7.2. And then when it went up to an 8.9, and then after we did the lyrical breakdown, it went to a 9.2. So this the rating did the opposite that what was happening to the person in the song. It spiraled up.
I changed that for Zonia. It spiraled up for me too. It's loved the song. The instrumentation was good. It was just she was so strong that she was pretty much featured on the song. There's a 9.2 for me.
Oh, we did the same.
Yeah. Good song. There you are, dear listener.
Gentlemen.
That was a quick bonus for y'all. We're going back in the lab. Meet me at Middle America. VIN out.
Sorry out.
Go.